With the Philippines moving towards a modified community quarantine, we are expected to run one of the longest lockdowns in the world. In fact, up to 80 days by some counts, which is longer than around 72 days that we saw in Wuhan, Hubei province in China, the very origin of the COVID-19 pandemic. Interesting, when it comes to mass testing, just over 180,000 Filipinos have been tested so far based on the latest numbers. Now, interestingly, it seems just as many people have violated the ongoing lockdown, especially the social distancing rules. According to Philippine National Police, there have been up to 156,000 violations and up to 41,000 arrests. That's a lot of number. Itong mga arrest na ito and these violations are of course based on or in accordance to dun sa Bayanihan Act that was passed around 2 months ago, which gives President Duterte special powers. Now, the Bayanihan Act was supposed to allow the president to move, act, and decide freely in the interest of the Filipino people during this health crisis. But in particular, many human rights groups, civil liberty advocates, and lawyers have been focusing on Section 6 of Bayanihan Act. So in short, this Section 6 of the Bayanihan Act gives the government the ability to really make sure that there's no disinformation and only proper information comes out. Now, in fairness to the government, mahalaga ito because fake news can kill. And more recently, we saw many individuals unfortunately losing their lives because they believe fake news about the COVID-19 virus, particularly remedies for the COVID-19 virus. So in short, fake news and disinformation is deadly, it's dangerous. And if it spreads wrong information about the nature of the crisis we face, it could also undermine the ability of governments to respond in the most effective way possible. The problem though is when you give additional powers to the government, how do we make sure naman na hindi sila maabusuhan? As the old saying goes, who guards the guardians? Now, this is particular concern here dito sa Pilipinas because press freedom has been on a decline over the past few years. So, marami nag-alala if the government is properly using the legislations against disinformation, or is there really abuses? In fact, we have seen a flurry of subpoenas and arrests against netizens and individuals accused of spreading disinformation. Now, more recently, this is extending to individuals who have been calling, for instance, for violent act against the president. One teacher, for instance, was arrested for offering 50 million pesos bounty for the president. Another one in Aklan offered around 100 million pesos. These people were immediately arrested. Now, it's not very clear how the arrest is related, for instance, to the fight of the government against misinformation in the context of fighting COVID-19. Now, I think a lot of us will agree that we should frown upon any kind of comments that incites violence against any individual, including and especially the President of the Republic. But more controversially, we had many netizens and individuals who got subpoenas or who got arrested, but it was not very clear how exactly they engaged in disinformation. A 41-year-old man, for instance, from Butuan City, he was arrested for not necessarily inciting violence against the president, but using insulting remarks like crazy against the head of the Republic and Senator Bongo. So in this case, it's not very clear if we're talking about disinformation, misinformation, or maybe we're just talking about disrespectful or negative comments by a citizen. Now, in early April, the NBI Cybercrime Division actually released a statement saying that hindi po biased or selective yung application ng law. It is not targeted against, quote-unquote, those that are critical of the government. Now, in fairness, in recent weeks, some individuals, allies of the president or close to the administration, or in fact those who are working in the government, have also received subpoenas from the NBI. Among them is the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA Deputy Administrator Marga, better known as Mocha Uson. Now, the NBI Deputy Director and spokesperson Ferdinand Lavin said that she is being investigated by our cybercrime division for fake news. Nonetheless, critics are saying that these subpoenas are more symbolic, and they're asking, what about other cases of brazen violation? So in short, you need to clamp down on misinformation and disinformation to make sure that safe po ang ating bansa and we can effectively implement the lockdown. The other question is, how do you define misinformation and whether the law has been applied in a fair and equitable way, not selectively against the critics of the administration. Ako po si Richard Haydarian. Stand with us, stand for truth.